On pages 15 through 20 of our Unit 4 notes, we are looking at function notation, which is very, very commonly used in upper level math. Function notation is represented as usually f of x, where f, I guess, stands for the word function. This is read f of x, where, as it reads below, the parentheses does not indicate multiplication. F is not a variable. F of x is, in fact, a more sophisticated way of indicating y, our output dependent variable. So into the function machine, we still have an input of x, but instead of saying our output is y, our dependent variable is y, now our output is called f of x. So input of x, output of f of x. F is the name of the function. F is very common, but you can use any letter here. You could have a of x, you could have b of x. Actually, x does not have to be the only letter used for my input. I could use t for time, really common, and then I could have something like d of t, that's distance over time, or h of t, height over time. So independent variable goes inside the parentheses, the name of the function goes outside. The whole thing put together is our y, our output, our dependent variable. So f of x, d of t, a of x, those would all be our y, or our output. Inside the parentheses, you write the input of the function. This is what we're going to go ahead and plug, what has been or should be plugged into the function. So into the function goes our input, our independent variable. Out of our function comes our output, f of x. This is commonly understood first with graphs and tables. So if we look at this graph, we still have an x-axis. We're using t for our independent variable. And then our output now, instead of y, is s of t. So when we're writing a statement like this, s of 2, we are asking what is the output when the input is 2. So when t equals 2, what is s of t? What is y? What is our output? So input of 2, looking at this graph, which represents the function, given an input of 2, our output is 9. So that is this whole function notation statement. S of 2 equals 9 tells me that, well, this represents the ordered pair 2, 9, and this tells me that after 2 seconds, the snail was traveling at a speed of 9 centimeters per minute. So input of 2, output of 9. Here we're given an output of 10, and we look to see what input gives me that output. Looks like a 7. So this statement right here, S of 7 equals 10, represents the ordered pair 7, 10. So input of 7, output of 10. This tells me that after 7 seconds, the snail was traveling at a speed of 10 centimeters per minute. Here we're given the input, 12. So I'm asking how fast was the snail traveling after 12 seconds? So input of 12, output of 8. You'll notice I copied and pasted this statement. Every single meaning is going to be after a certain amount of time, independent, the snail is traveling at a certain speed, dependent. So 12 and 8 go together. Here we're given the output of 7. Output of 7, that's this point right here. Looks like 1 and 7. So after 1 second, the snail was traveling at a speed of 7 centimeters per minute. S of 1 equals 7. A table is perhaps even easier to understand. So here I'm given a relationship between miles traveled and the charge. The charge is C of x. My output is C of x. This one's asking me, what is the output when the input is 3? So when x equals 3, what is my output? It's 28. That means that the charge for independent equal to 3, miles traveled equal to 3, the charge for 3 miles is $28. Input miles, output money. Here I'm given an output of 14. given an output of 14, that goes with the input of 1. The charge for 1 mile is $14. Again, each function notation statement represents one particular ordered pair, one particular pairing between independent and dependent. X equals 3, y equals 28. X equals 3, C of x equals 28. X equals 1, input of 1, output of 14. This practice page just allows you to practice 2 different functions represented side by side, which students often have a difficult time with. So when we're asking a question about f, like what is the input for an output of 6, we need to look at the graph because that's picturing f of x. So output of 6, that happens with an input of 1. Whereas a G question, oh, I copied and pasted wrong. So the G questions are not talking about boxes being packed. G questions are talking about a number of songs downloaded after a particular number of months. So this gives an output of 1, and the input for G of x is 2. This is saying after 2 months, 1 new song is downloaded. Whereas when we're looking at F, we're looking at a relationship between time and boxes packed. So after 1 hour, 6 boxes are packed. So just please pay attention to what variables are representing the input and what letter is representing the function name.